Are you bad at giving gifts to family or friends? Well, so am I, so let's do a video providing some inspiration from Middle-earth. It is just about gift-giving season, so I thought let's make this video. Your gifts won't be anywhere near as good as the ones that I will be making videos on, but it's just fun to have a look at. If you are going to be getting jewellery for anyone, do make sure it is the right size. But hello everybody and welcome. If you are new to the channel, this is Gone with Gandalf, and every single Friday we do these lore videos, although I may be adding another video into the Tuesday slot, because how else am I going to get more videos that you guys provide me ideas with out there for you to watch? But if you do enjoy these kinds of videos, do make sure to like and subscribe, because isn't that just what every single YouTube person says at the start of a video? Today's video then, we are going to be talking about the ring that is popping up right here. Now this originally belonged to a gentleman. He was an elf called Finrod Felagund, and he is here. Ta-da! He was a very big deal, and he was the son of Finarfin. He would actually be the High King of the Noldor in Aman, due to the fact that Finwë died, Fëanor came to Middle-earth, and so did Fingolfin. Both of those would also die. This ring then, it was artificed in Aman by the master craftsman of the Noldor, and Finrod would eventually then bring it over to Middle-earth. This ring was like to twin serpents whose eyes were emeralds and their heads met beneath the crown of golden flowers, that the one upheld and the other devoured. That was the badge of Finarfin and his house. So why was it not then called the Ring of Finrod, or whoever the hell made it in Aman? Well, it was called the Ring of Barahir, and you may have heard of this ring, because it does actually come up in the Lord of the Rings. We'll come up to that in a short while, but it was given to Barahir, hence the name. See, during the events of the Silmarillion, in Beleriand there was a great big battle. In fact, there were quite a few, but during one of them there was the Dagor Bragollach, the Battle of Sudden Flame, and Finrod, he was like, I'm going to go and help him out, but the trouble is, he lived way off in the south, so he had to march up a very long distance, and by that time the orcs had already kind of made it through the siege. During the events of the Silmarillion, there was a battle in Beleriand. In fact, there were quite a few, but this one in particular was called the Dagor Bragollach, or the Battle of Sudden Flame. And, well, Finrod, he would have taken part. He lives quite far south in terms of Beleriand, so he had to march up. He was a day late and a dollar short, and he came upon some orcs. Or rather, the orcs came upon him, because he definitely would have died. He was massively outnumbered, until Barahir came with a company of his men down the slopes and saved him, and because he saved him, Finrod gave him his ring as a token of goodwill and as an oath then to help his house. And Barahir, this courageous outdoorsman from Dorthonion, then of the House of Beor, was able to gain the favour of the great Finrod Felagund, and he received this ring, and with that ring came this oath. Now, what did he do with this great gift? Well, actually nothing, because he would end up getting killed by some orcs in Dorthonion, and it would be his son, Beren, that would come to use it. Beren, son of Barahir, was suitably unimpressed with the death of his father, that he went out and he sought this orc who had kept the hand of Barahir with the ring still on it, as, you know, proof that he had killed this rebellious man. He would have shown this then to Sauron, who had sent this band of orcs to go and kill him. However, out of nowhere, out of the trees, Beren saw this orc, and he was like, I'm taking that ring back. So he jumped out and killed the orc, and before anyone could do anything else, he was off and away. And so that is how he retrieved the Ring of Barahir. So, as a brief synopsis then, to the point where he'd actually used the ring, and which is why this gift is so amazing, other than the fact that it just looks really cool, Beren basically came upon Luthien, who was a half-elf, half-Maya woman, and she was super hot. and she was kind of into Beren as well, and Beren obviously was into her. But her father was not. Her father was a real asshat, and his name was Thingol. He was the king of Doriath, and he did not wish to give his daughter's hand in marriage to a lowly man. A quest was set. You can have my daughter's hand in marriage if you provide me with one of the Silmarils. And all the Silmarils at this point were on the crown of Morgoth in his fortress. So an impossible task, and quite frankly, he would not be expected to bring this to come about. Beren, he was without a house, he had no family or anything like that. Who is he going to call on? He was looking at the ring and he was like, oh, I'm going to go and ask Finrod. So he goes to Finrod's halls and he was like, Finrod, I've got this ring. Do you want to come and help me? And Finrod's like, I'll get my coat, let's go. Oaths were sacred and they were always held. So of course he's going to go once he sees that, oh yeah, that is definitely my ring. And that makes a lot of sense. And then to add to this, why would Finrod, probably the second most influential person in Beleriand at this point, as a king of Nargothrond, why would he then go out and risk his own neck to help out this man? His sister was Galadriel. I don't need to go into who she was, I'm sure everyone knows. But she'd asked Finrod, like, why do you not have a wife or a girlfriend or anything like that? Like, what's going on? And he said, well, I reckon I'm going to have a big job to do in the future, and I don't want anything to compromise that. And, well, here it is. Finrod would then give his life, very sadly, to save Beren from some werewolves in Sauron's dungeons below Minas Tirith. But he did do it with his bare hands and his teeth, which is pretty bonkers, but this video isn't about that. Beren and Luthien would succeed in retrieving one of the Silmarils, though, and I think none of this would have obviously been possible without Finrod, and therefore without the ring. Super awesome! But wait, there's more! Because whilst, having this kind of world-shaping events occur due to this gift being given, that's pretty cool, but it does have some later significance as well, as I've already alluded to. The descendants of Beren and Luthien would then eventually become the kings of Númenor, and that would become an heirloom of Númenor down to the lords of Andúnedain, down to Elendil, and then it would remain in Arnor in Middle-earth. An heirloom of the greatest importance until Arvedui, the last king of Arthedain and Arnor, would then give it to one of the Lossoth. And the Lossoth, they were the kind of like Inuits of the Ice Bay of Foroshel. After the defeat of Arnor at the hands of the Witch King, he had fled into hiding and he'd gone up into the way far north. And during this time, he'd received a lot of help from these Lossoth men. To repay their kindness, he gave them whatever he had on him. He gave them the Ring of Barahir. And just after this, really, he then got on an elven ship and went into the Ice Bay of Forochel and took an eternal dip down into the soggy waters. Probably not the greatest gift, and certainly not comparable to the first instance of when it was first given to Barahir at all. But nonetheless, it was retrieved and ransomed back. But Elrond, who actually is also a descendant of Beren, he said, well, I'm holding onto it for now. I'm not going to let those lazy men get their grubby mitts on it and lose it again. And then it was given to Aragorn. I'm sure everyone's heard of him, the heir of Isildur, and he was told of all of his heritage and whatnot at this point. Not really a gift at this point, but he actually then gives it as a gift to someone else. This is something that diverges from the book and the film, and if you've seen the film only, then this might be, well, it's not really a shock, but it's like, oh, that's interesting. But in the year 2980, so about 40 years prior to the War of the Ring, he gives it to Arwen in Lothlorien, and this is the point where they become engaged, essentially, to be married. A very, very fancy engagement ring. So if you are thinking of proposing to your significant other, then get a green one with snakes on it. So slightly different from the films where she does like the gifting, where she gives him the Evenstar jewel, but it provides a slightly different role, the ring that is, in the films, because it kind of legitimizes his claim upon the kingship of Gondor and Arnor. which is fair enough. And actually also in the extended edition, which I would recommend all of you to watch, Saruman actually is able then to identify who Aragorn was by looking at, well, Grima, I think it is, that tells him of the description of the ring, and he's like looking through the book and he's like, oh yes, it's this one, oh there's not too many of them knocking around, obviously. So if you are in the market for buying a ring, something like this may cost you a pretty penny. It probably also won't come along with a lavish history of being able to, legitimize the rule of the reunited kingdom, or world-shaping events such as capturing one of the Silmarils in the first stage of Middle-earth. Although if you can find someone that can make those authentically, then yeah, let me know. All I'm saying is, your mileage may vary. But anyway, I hope this video has been somewhat entertaining and then also illuminating, because the Ring of Barahir is pretty spectacular. But I didn't go fully in depth into everything. I massively condensed the story down here. But if you've got any comments, any suggestions, pop them down into the comments, and I'll look to see if I can do a video for Tuesday as well. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I am going with Gandalf. Good day. Bye!